stick and then have a
Here
hard
we
copy if
go.
I
Here
can
we
print
go.
off a hard copy of the PDF.
We're live
Mm.
again.
Great
Okay.
work.
I think I have a problem with that. I mean, I've
If
seen
you can email them,
snapping
if the
turtles
file
in
isn't
there
too
and,
big.
Oh, good.
painted turtles. And
All right.
We
Oh,
will.
I think
Okay, sorry.
Way to go. In time.
Oh, you
baby.
got it back.
That's
great.
Jess.
All right. Our technical difficulties have been solved. So we will, for a moment,
Oh, don't say that out loud.
reconvene. Reconvene. That's what I was looking for. All right. So did anyone have, oh no, we're on to the development report. Glenn, how about you? We're just going to move on to Glenn. Oh, we didn't. Oh, sorry. Neely,
I
my
was gonna
bad.
go with it. but
Natural
okay.
Resources Management. No.
right.
Neely, you are up. I am
So
so sorry.
No worries. I was like, I thought that I was wrong about order, so it's totally fine. I don't
it's
have a
me.
ton to add anyway. Like Kurt said, Ottawa Sands progress is going really well. As far as the restoration stuff goes, they are almost done with the vast majority of it. So all of the earth moving is done. So the softening and grading the shoreline. The interdunal wetland complex creation is finished. The dunes have been constructed and partially stabilized with marram grass. All of the seed, I think, has been laid in the restoration area. So a lot of native seed along with cover crop again. And then I think the biggest thing that they have left to do is to install the native plugs. So a lot of wetland plant plugs in the interdunal wetlands and along the shoreline. And then we're talking about also dragging some of the woody habitat structures into the lake so that they can work more like structure for the fisheries and for fish habitat. So we have that to do, and we're looking at doing most of that this week. So GEI mostly, and then my crew kind of working in conjunction with them. And then, let's see, so that's Ottawa Sands. Oh, I did get a picture from Brian from GEI today of a map turtle making a nest in the newly constructed dune.
Oh.
So that was kind of cool. Let's see. Mentioning the stewardship crew, we are fully staffed for the summer. We just had a new crew member start on Monday, so that's exciting. And then just a quick note about volunteer work days. So this isn't necessarily in April, but just this past week was kind of our busiest time of the year for volunteer work days. So not only do we have all the park steward work days and the adopt a park work days, also a lot of field trips. So I think I had 8 work days last week. So we worked with, how many was it? 450 students from White Pines Intermediate School in Grand Haven. So all of the 6th graders in the district. And the really significant part about that for me as part of our volunteer program is they contributed almost 1,000 additional hours to our volunteer program. So they were able to remove 5,800 pounds of garlic mustard from 5 different parks.
Oh, dang.
Right.
Yeah. So it's pretty significant when it all adds up. So we really appreciate them. And I did have some friends volunteers and some of our park stewards help out with those work days as well. Managing 96 graders in the woods can be a little bit challenging. I didn't see Linda. I was really surprised to that job. That's okay. That last day was a little bit challenging, but no, they were great. They were great. They were challenging, but great. And then the one last thing I wanted to add was I did not have the Friends report when I put my report together. I did subsequently receive the Friends report from April. And there isn't a lot of new stuff in there. They have been talking a lot about making some organizational changes, including the way that they interact with the parks. But I don't think any decisions were made. There was a committee created to discuss the implementation of some of those changes. So we should hear more.
and we're
next
trying to
month.
schedule a meeting in the next upcoming couple weeks.
Okay.
So.
Cool. Yeah, and I think that was the kind of the gist of the Friends report, other than, their specific work days. I know Jessica mentioned one, but I think that's about it, unless anyone has any follow-up questions.
Anything for Neely? All right. Thanks, Neely. Glenn, now you're up. Sorry about that.
Quite all right. This over here. So we had
85 gifts and received in April, which is down a little bit from April of 2023, but we're still up on the year for our total number of gifts. As a percent of our annual revenue goal, we are at 45% for this April of 24 versus just 1.2% of April of 23. Similarly, you'll see that year to date in 2024, we've already achieved 16.7% of our goal. A couple of things that are significant about that. First of all, our biggest and best months lie ahead of us, as opposed to in the past. People typically give in the second half of the year and towards the end of the year. But the other thing I want to point out is that when you take those two numbers together and think about them, what it says is that we may have received fewer gifts last month than in prior years, but they were larger gifts. And that's really what we want to accomplish is to grow the size of our average gift. And it's borne out, of course, but with the figures below, you can see that our average gift for April of 24 was significantly higher than in 2023, likewise on the year. So it was a good month for us. We concluded our fireside chat series last month. It was a good series. We're trying to decide, what that format of meeting 8:30, the first Thursday of every morning, holds for the future, and decide if that's worth continuing. We are participating in the strategic planning session, of course, because that's critically important to development, being able to go out and tell people what the plans are for the future for the parks. And we are deep into the breakfast lunch fundraiser, which will be held on June 20th. And we hope that everybody here will plan to attend. I'll take any questions.
Do you have approximately how many folks participated in the fireside chats? How many guests did we
We had
have?
on average about 10 guests
Yeah.
per, so roughly 60.
Okay.
And, I would point out that I know that that's not a very big number. But for me, being new to the county, it provided me an opportunity to really meet people, have conversations with people, meaningful conversations that I might have done if we'd had a larger crowd.
Yeah, and I wouldn't think anything more than 10 or 12 isn't really a chat anymore.
That's
It's
true.
I don't know what it
Good
is,
point.
but
And we did always have a lot of, I'll say, audience participation. I'll remind everyone that our speakers, excuse me, were just, volunteers from Ottawa County who had expertise in various topics, everything from native gardens to history of the parks. So they volunteered their time to put together a presentation and come and make that presentation. And then we always, as I said, had a lot of questions from the audience, people contributing their own thoughts, their own insights, et cetera. So it really did become indeed a chat as opposed to a lecture. So we were, I'll say that aspect of it, we were very, very pleased with.
Anyone else? All right, thank you, Glenn. We will move on to the strategic plan update or progress report. Jason?
So thank you, everybody, for who's been able to participate to date. I think we've had some great sessions on engagement, and then had a really good session on kind of refining the mission, vision, values, pillars, document. So, and we're shooting to have a presentation, and versus one of the things that we have kind of discussed internally with staff. So really, if we look at a document that includes the mission, vision, values, and pillars, that might be what we ask them to present on June 13th instead of the overall document, planning document. So staff are working on refining incorporating and gathering feedback on kind of all the various components to provide to them, and ask them then to Crow to provide a revised document. But we realize we're nearing the phase that park staff will need to kind of start taking ownership of the plan and making revisions moving forward. So with that in mind, if anybody has feedback on any of the materials we've shared, please share that, and you can email that to Aaron and I, and then we'll make sure we incorporate it in the material that gets sent to our consultant.
Can you read, so the date of June 13th is what you're talking about, maybe having them do a presentation of the revised mission, or before that? Like, is June 13th supposed to be like the final first draft of the report that's the whole public gets to see, or is that just for stakeholders?
So it'll be it's intended to be a public meeting
Okay.
where we post a draft, and then anybody who wants to come provide feedback on it.
But you're talking about having something before that, that's just a rollout of the revised?
Well, instead of, I don't know if we are likely to have a refined draft that's ready for presentation for public. So
Yeah, because that's
I
like in a
think the
couple
step-
weeks.
right. I think the step in between is they have a slide deck that really just reviews, right, the primary mission, vision, values, and pillars documents, and then really refining some of the projects. And there's a bubble chart that helps prioritize the projects. Then there's lots of good data, but it just needs to be pulled together. So.
Okay, I guess when would I think some folks are a little confused as to what's going to happen next, or when we can provide more input, if any. So would you say that at June 13th, that's when we're going to see the revised? Because I think feedback was provided, and I'm sorry I couldn't make it to the last stakeholder meeting, but it sounded like there was feedback provided on it. And so maybe there's going to be some tweaks based on that feedback. So the
I think we have
mission
a
and
working,
vision-
I think we have a pretty close to working draft from the session last week. So I think we
Yeah.
really
So
came
could
out
we
of
see
there.
that ahead of June?
So we will share that tomorrow, actually, as one of my, we'll get that out, and you all, and that's a simpler version
Oh, okay.
of the draft plan. It's a PDF of a PowerPoint. So, and then, so that incorporates the material or the information that we refined last week.
Okay.
So
Okay.
So what happens after the public meeting on the 13th?
we work on refining the actual plan document.
So when does the final plan?
The goal is a presentation at the August Parks Commission meeting.
Okay, okay. Perfect.
But you can do comments anytime.
Yes,
If
so
you
we'll
have
send out,
comments
we
or
just got the
ideas,
one
yeah.
slide deck, I think today, maybe or late on Monday. We put aside time tomorrow to try to get staff to organize and gather all comments on all of the various components to send back to Crow, and then try to get another revision from them on. I just don't know if it's realistic to have something before the June 13th to.
Jason,
Okay.
the 13th meeting is at what time?
I think it's at
There was a calendar invite for that.
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
I thought I seen, but I thought it was evening. But
But we're supposed to, tomorrow we're getting something.
Yes. We'll send it.
Okay. The
PowerPoint.
stakeholders are getting something tomorrow.
I was going to send it to the commissioners,
Oh,
Parks
okay.
commissioners, to provide, to review and provide feedback on at this point.
Okay.
So it's the consolidation of what they gathered last week.
Okay.
They were sharing a PowerPoint at the meeting, so they updated that. That's what we'll distribute tomorrow.
And one last question. Did I see email traffic about moving it from Hemlock to here or someplace? The meeting for hearing piece for the. or
I
are
think
we
that was
gonna-
Jane's. We'll need to try to see if we can find a location, and maybe it's just in this room, but we need
Or
to
maybe it's still
confirm.
there, but if we think about the,
Well, I don't, if sound is the issue, there isn't a solution necessarily unless we go to the classroom. It's a little bit better, but
Okay, everybody gets it? What's happening? Moving forward? Okay.
Yep.
Any other questions? Comments?
so we have lots of, I think I think all of the feedback and the data that we've collected is really good. And I think we're really close on the mission, vision, values, and pillars. And now it's really refining the presentation of that material. So
Okay. All right, great. Okay, we'll keep rolling then with the committee reports, and we'll start with a verbal summary of the executive committee. Got together this past week. I was not there, so Jane, any highlights really?
Not really. We talked about the agenda as we always do. Went over some of the strategic planning workshop was a couple days from our meeting. So we talked a little bit about that and got some updates. But generally, just looking at our agenda items, if we needed to add anything, and that's about it. Linda, am I forgetting anything?
just the caterpillars we tried to keep off each other because we met outside.
Yeah, yeah.
It was a
Spongy
very, it
moths
was a very
were-
short meeting.
There weren't that many. There were a few. Not too bad.
All right, thanks, guys. We'll move on to planning. And Lucas, looks like you got a couple months of summaries there.
That's correct. And so again, Kurt, thanks for putting together great minutes for the meetings. So yeah, 2 pages here for the last meeting, and covered a lot of ground. I think one of the more interesting ones, I mean, there was another proposal from a resident for mountain biking at North Ottawa Dunes, which didn't gain any support at that meeting. And then the other interesting one is the consideration of cell towers in the parks, and specifically, Gross Park. So, that's a interesting concept that was chewed on for quite a while. So the other ones were fairly minimal. So we'll leave it at that unless anyone has any questions.
Anybody? All right, thanks, Lucas.
You're welcome.
We'll move on to finance and policy. Linda?
So we talked about Lakeshore Advantage, the MVP program, motor vehicle program permit, which is a motion that will be coming up. Grant distribution from for the Grand Haven Area Community Engage Foundation, which is also a motion coming up. Last minute discussion kind of over email had to do with operations picking up some trash responsibilities, which does not affect the budget. So just that came up later. And then as there's an ongoing discussion about special permits and how we issue special permits, what counts as a special permit. I think that's pretty clear, and Jason and those guys will be putting a document together for us to look at. And then we talked a little bit about the Ottawa Sands business plan and what that might look like, since this will be a new way for us to do business that we haven't done in the past. And I think staff has a really good handle on that as well, but they're putting a business plan together for that. And I think that was pretty much it.
Good. Questions for Linda? All right. Thanks, Linda. Jane, a foundation update.
Yeah, the foundation met on May 10. Couple points, of course, you all know that the busy month of June is coming up with a breakfast lunch. on the 20th, the Grand Explorer Trail Race on the 22nd. I'm guessing by this point, there's a couple hundred people registered. At our meeting on the 10th, there were 155. So that's going to be a big one. And aside from the events, the foundation is very enthusiastic about the Rosie Mound project. And so Glenn put together some talking points for foundation members to use when they're interacting individually with people. Foundation members will coordinate with Glenn if there is any type of personal ask they want to do, because the public campaign or the public portion of the Rosie Mound project probably won't kick off until later this year, possibly early 2025. So it's just encouraging that the foundation board is just really champing at the bit for Rosie Mound. So that was really nice. We and there's some info on the foundation web page and a video about that. And I think we're going to see that at one of our upcoming meetings. Did I hear that right, Jason?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, we'll stay tuned. We may have a video to show you. We talked also about the grant that the foundation has provided for Glenn's position, and the foundation's kind of defining what sort of metrics they want to see as they evaluate that grant. So there's been some discussion on that, some good discussion about what we'll be looking at when it comes time to renew that. So other than that, I think that's it.
Thank
Unless you have
you.
any questions?
Anything for Jane? All right, we will keep rolling then. We do not have any old business on our agenda today, so we will roll right into new business. And the first item we have up is the annual motor vehicle permits for Lakeshore Advantage. And I know this was what Linda referred to. You guys have talked about it, finance and policy. So are you ready to make a motion on that, or would you like the staff to give a report first?
I think that the short version is, we've done this, we give these permits, the 120 permits of various businesses around the county. They give them to their interns, and then we hope they use the parks. I can tell you from personal experience last year, I had friends that had an intern working for Gentex that stayed with them, and he used it every single day. And he and his friends were, after work, were out someplace surfboarding or hiking or something. So they thought it was a great thing, and it was a good penny for Gentex to use for getting interns in.
I'll make a motion that we approve that again this year.
Okay, thanks, Jane. Do we have a second?
Support.
Okay. Great. So we have the motion as presented made. Any further questions or discussion on this item? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All right, motion carries. Next item we have is the annual grant distribution from the Nature Education Center Endowment Fund at the Grand Haven Area Community Foundation. And I believe this also went through finance and policy.
It did, and Jason would probably be best to do any, if there's, I'll make the motion as
Okay.
submitted.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, thanks, Roger.
So now if you have
Jason, do you
questions,
have?
Jason's the
Yeah,
guy.
right.
Punt it to Glenn,
Oh, okay.
and then I can follow up and answer any
Yeah, sure.
questions that.
Glenn, did you want to give a little summary on this?
Well, what I would offer is that the distribution of, well, let me start by saying that, in 2008, as part of the capital campaign to assist the construction of the Nature Center, endowment funds for the nature education were established at Grand Haven Area Community Foundation. As Ottawa County Parks Foundation did not exist at the time, the funds were created with the Parks Commission as the fund advisory committee. Endowment funds allow for the annual spendables that can be requested by the fund manager each year or not distributed, the spendables are then absorbed back into the fund as principal. With the annual support of the Ottawa County Parks Foundation for nature education programming, there's an opportunity to utilize these annual spendables to supplement the funds collected by the Parks Foundation. And you can see the attached letter from the Grand Haven Area Community Foundation and recommendations for grant distribution for details. So that's a way of saying that the distributions from the fund shall be used for the purpose of sustaining and supporting the programming and general operations of the Nature Education Center in Ottawa County. And the funds committee shall consist of the Ottawa County Parks and Rec Commission. That's the information I have.
Okay, good. And it's all in writing.
Right.
Any questions? So any further questions on that item? Comments? All right, we'll put it to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All right, motion carries. And last item we have on here for new business is the Sheldon Landing and Holly Drive trash pickup. This kind of came up just recently and was run through the executive committee as well, but we have a suggested motion here. I don't know, Jason, do you maybe want to just give a super quick report or summary on what this entails? Or Jason Berger, sorry.
Punt.
Sure. Yep. The Port Sheldon Township Supervisor approached us with us taking over Cowan Winds Nest Parks. Their employee that used to empty the trash barrels at those other two areas was the same employee that was working at Cowan Winds Nest Parks. So they are looking to not have to hire somebody just to empty 2 trash barrels a week. So they asked us if we would be able to do that. We figured out our costs on that. Our staff is going past those parks every single day anyways. And was with supplies and labor and everything, it was just a little right around $1,000. Last year, our revenue over expenses for Cowan Winds Nest was almost $36,000. So we figured we could fit that in without an issue. It wouldn't really take a whole lot of extra time on our staff's point because, again, they're driving by those parks every single day.
Great.
I'll make the motion as written.
Thanks, Linda. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Lucas. All right. Any further questions on that item? Pretty self-explanatory, I think, but all right. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. All right, motion
And we'll-
carries.
We'll
Oops.
make sure that we have that conversation and incorporate it into the agreement if need be at the end of the season, going into next year, or if anything else needs to be. We did have a debriefing and a prep meeting, but that just slipped through the cracks on us. So thank you.
All right, we are moving on to our second opportunity for public comment. I don't see anyone new that has walked in. And folks online, again, if you want to make a public comment in writing, please take a look and submit it to the email address and instructions in the video event description at the top of the screen on the YouTube channel or video link. Okay, so that brings us to Commissioner's prerogative, and we'll go around the horn here. If you have anything, Roger, we can start with you.
I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, Paul?
All set.
Okay, Lucas?
Just real quick, I wanted to share with you guys that Spring Lake Township over the years has acquired about 16 acres of property along the Grand River, which is, if you're along Leonard Road. So just as you're coming into the village, there's Lloyd's Bayou and there's the bridge and boardwalk that go over that. So for that, it's maybe a half-mile stretch of property from the bridge to the kind of the southeast. That's all public land that's along the river, and it's really nice space. There's no place to park or anything like that, but I just think it goes along well with the mission that the Parks Commission has had over the years in protecting that space. So
Very scenic, right? Because you can look out over.
Yeah, look out over there.
yeah, it was acquired primarily for viewshed protection along Leonard Road, but there's a couple areas that are really cool, and now with the water receding again, and that you can hike out into some of those spaces and, but yeah, I just wanted to share that.
Is it just an open space? Are there any plans to put anything in there?
Right now, and the reason I bring it up is because we just met with our wetland consultant to go over some management ideas, and which we did talk about, maybe a boardwalk or something
Yeah.
like that, but it's a little bit of a sketchy space as far as access for parking and things of that nature and
Mm.
crossing the road. So we're not 100% sure there, but at any rate, just, so it's there if you're out that way. It's what we did is there's a church on the west side of the bridge. You could park at the church and then walk over.
Nice.
Good. Thanks, Lucas.
Welcome.
Jane?
Nothing?
Okay. Linda?
Nothing.
Jim? Bruce?
Don't have anything.
Okay. Allison?
Just have appreciated the strategic impact or the strategic planning sessions that we've had. And Jane, I appreciated your feedback that you provided in the email with just some of your thoughts. And so it's been really good participating in it.
Great. All right. Looks like we are ready for closed session. So we'll go ahead if someone wants to make a motion to move into closed session.
So moved.
All right. Thanks, Lucas. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Thanks, Bruce. All right. Kyle, you want to take roll?
Price,
Yes.
Longstreet,
Yes.
McCaffrey,
Yes.
Belcamp,
Yes.
Bush, Greenlee,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Allison,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Sacks.
Yes.
All right. We are disconnected.